Listen up. If you want to edit out acne, blemishes, discoloration the way that the professional photographers do it, then you need to be using frequency separation. And I know this because I paid them a lot of money so that they can teach me how they do it. What frequency separation is separating the texture from the color into separate layers so that you can edit them individually without affecting the other. I'm Andres Perez, and to learn about the tips, techniques, and technology that will help you improve your photography, make sure to ring the bell after you subscribe. So the first thing we want to do is we want to create duplicate layers of the background. So you can either drag this down to the plus sign, or you can do Control J. Now what we want to do is we want to change the name of the layer. So go ahead and choose a layer, go to Layer, Rename, then we can call this Texture. Click on the second one, and we can rename this Color. So, so I'm going to make this invisible so you can see what's going on. For color, what we're going to do is we're going to come to Filter, Noise, Median. Now, every image is going to be different. So, this number here is not going to be the same for you. You're going to have to go through it, play with it, see what's going to work best. So, this is going to be your color layer. You want to make sure that you're not really seeing texture. So, what we're going to do is we're going to try 7. And I think that works pretty well. Let's just try 8. I think they're starting to get a little bit too blurred there, so let's go back to 7. I like 7. But see, you can still tell you're looking at eyebrows, eyes, all that. So, okay. Now, for the texture, go ahead and click that. We're going to make it visible again. And we're going to come to Image and Apply Image. Then what I suggest you do is you come here. You want to make sure you're choosing the layer that's the color. And if it's a 16-bit, then I definitely recommend you do this. But this will work for the 18-bit as well. Go to Invert. Make sure it's on Add. And then you want 2.0 for this. Then you just click OK. Then what I like to do is I like to create an additional layer. Actually, before all that. On this, we're going to change the blending mode to linear light. Then what I like to do is I like to create a black and white image. And we're just going to make that a little bit darker. And I'm going to name this Assist. Now what we're going to do is we're going to choose all 3. Control G to group them together. Rename it to frequency separation. So I'm just going to put FS for that for now. So when we open it, we can see all those layers there. So this assist is good for the color layer, but I'm going to start with the texture first. So if you click on texture, let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay. This is Julie. She has really nice skin. There's not much to do here. What I use is the clone stamp. And I reduced the hardness. I also reduced the flow to about 50%. Now we're going to go ahead and get rid of this so we can make our brush smaller. That's probably a good size. We're going to choose something near it here. So we want skin that looks like it. So Alt click. And then we're just going to go over it. So there we go. That way it's a nice light Yeah, that's better. Um, that way we went ahead and we got rid of that. We can get picky. We can get rid of this, right? We can make this smaller, a little bigger. Choose that, and there we go. Now, I have a rule. You may feel different, but my rule is basically this. If it's going to be gone in a week or two, then go ahead and remove it. If it's something permanent, like for example, like this freckle, then I don't want to remove it because it's a part of who she is. If we were to meet her in person, then that would be different. Whereas these little things here, these little blemishes, they would be gone, so you wouldn't even see them. And that's how I justify deciding what it is that I remove and what I keep. And maybe let's say you wanted to get rid of the freckle. You could. You definitely could. Or you could just decide, you know what? I'm just going to make it a little less apparent. So there, since it's, just 50% and a light hardness, it doesn't affect it much. So now that we know how to work with the texture, I'm going to show you how to work with the color. So something I can recommend to you is make a duplicate of this as well. Okay, and I'll explain why in just a bit. But we're going to go ahead and turn on our assist. So with this, you want to come over here to your brushes and right click. Make sure you choose the mixer brush. And you see how here there's a brighter area and then it gets darker, then it gets bright again. Basically what this does, we're just gonna blend it here. So if you can see, all we're doing is blending that layer. Well, that color. And so the reason why we have this assist layer is because when you're spending all this time on this, your eyes get fatigued and it's called like color fatigue. So this just kind of helps you decide where the shadows are and things like that. So I'm going to show you an example. Okay. So let's say we went crazy. So that's just kind of like, we want to blend that. It looks pretty nice. But let's say we went crazy, right? Okay. We just, ooh, we just kind of went blending happy. And okay, here we go. Now everything's pretty much the exact same color. I'm going to zoom out a little bit more so you can tell. Okay, so we flatten out her forehead and her nose, and it doesn't look good. And you know what? We decided, maybe that chin didn't need that. We just decided, okay, let's just get rid of all the shadows. Okay, so we went crazy. We got rid of all the shadows, and we just made it way too soft. Okay, right? So we did that. Oops. What do we do? Well, that's why we have a second layer here. What we can do is we can reduce the opacity here. And in this case, we're going to have to reduce it quite a bit. So maybe 20%. So now, if we take a look at before, that's what it looked like. In the after, it's just slightly reduced. Maybe we can get away with a little bit more. Let's try 25. That looks pretty good. 25 looks pretty good. Try 30. Okay, okay. Yeah, we can get away with 30. I'm pretty sure 50 is going to be too much. So 50 I feel is too much. It's not the worst I've seen, but it's not great. So I'm going to go back to, I'm just going to leave it there, 28. So that way it just becomes more natural to what we were doing. And that's just one way that you can use this. Now, the way you can also use this is you can get rid of like little hairs and stuff like that. So for example, if we come back to the texture and this, and we zoom back in. Okay. Let's say, you know what, we want to get rid of this little hair here. So we can come to the texture. Whoops. We just moved that. So, you know, we just did the clone stamp. See, we didn't affect the color much. Or rather, we didn't affect the color. So, we just got rid of the texture there, which we just made it soft, basically. And so now that hair is gone. But of course, we can still go in there and do a little bit more. That's just an example of how to do it. Now, I did ask you to stay to the end, so what I did for you was I created an action, a free action that you can have. So all you have to do is download it with the link in the description below, click on the frequency separation, and play it. Then it's going to stop here so that you can choose what's going to work best for you. Then you would choose it, and it would continue through the rest. And here, it even has the assist layers to help you with your color. If you want to learn how to control light using dodge and burn, then make sure to click on this video to learn how.